In this section, we will try to analyze the JAM paper and we will try to develop a strategies for every particular topic. And today our topic is petrology. Whenever we analyze the question paper of any particular exam and we focus on a particular topic in that paper, then the obvious first question to look out for is how many number of questions are asked from this section in previous years. And that's what exactly the graph shows. And as you can see from the figure, on an average 8 to 10 questions are asked from this section every year. And the maximum number of questions sometimes can reach out to 14 number of questions. Out of 60 questions, if you get 10 to 12 questions from a particular topic every year, then the topic itself becomes so much obvious to read and we just cannot afford to leave this topic. Okay, we all know that in JAM we face generally 3 types of questions: MCQ, MSQ and NAT. So now let's look at how many questions are asked from all these sections from petrology every year. First, let's look at the MCQ section. So as you can see in the graph, questions are asked from petrology every year from MCQ. And you get a good number of questions from question number 11 to 30 from petrology part. Just to remind you, the questions from 11 to 30 are MCQs and they carry 2 marks each. So that makes petrology a very important topic for JAM if we are targeting the MCQ section. Okay. And although you can get questions from every part from the petrology, but we have filtered out some of the very important topics from petrology in MCQ. And the first topic is the rock classification, which includes the IUGS classification of igneous rocks, and from sedimentary part we have sandstone and limestone classification. So you must have a clear concept of the rock classification. Next we have the rock and their characteristics property. I would like to show you some examples. Like you can get questions directly from the characteristics feature of a particular rock. Like in this question it is asked the facility is best shown by, and the answer should be option C, that is cell, and facility is the characteristics property of cell. And the next type of question from this part can be the rocks and where they are found. And the next type of question can be the metamorphic rock and their corresponding parent rock. So make sure when you are revising all these things, then these 3 things must be fit into your bag. Okay. Next we have the texture and phase diagram. This is one of the most common type of question asked in JAM examination. So whenever you read phase diagram, then you must correlate them with the texture formed. And whenever you read textures, particularly intergrowth textures, then you must consider the phase diagram in which it is formed. Once again I am saying this is the very important part for JAM, so just don't ignore it. Next we have rock and their equivalent. That means in the question a volcanic rock would have been given and you have to match it with their corresponding plutonic equivalent or vice versa. Also it would be better if you remember them systematically on the basis of their composition. And yes, one more thing, sometimes questions are also asked about the composition of the rock, particularly the classification of rock on the basis of the ratio of alkali feldspar to plagioclase feldspar. So if you cover all these topics, then there is a greater probability that you won't miss a question from the composition of the rocks. Next we have metamorphism and type of metamorphism. Now this is a very simple and basic topic and you frequently get questions from this part. Okay. The next important thing from metamorphism is the metamorphic zone and metamorphic phases. Now this is the most important part of metamorphism from JAM. And you get questions in every single JAM examination from this point. And we have already made a video on that, you can check it out. Next from sedimentary, the important topics are the sedimentary texture, structure and environment. Among them, environment is a very vast topic and it requires a good amount of time to learn and revise this concept. So if you are just 1 or 2 months away from the exam, then I would suggest you to leave this part and focus on the topics that you have already covered on. But if possible, at least cover the sedimentary environment concept overally and grasp all the important topics. And one more thing you can do, just go through all the previous year questions from sedimentary environment, not only from JAM but from BHU, PU or any other recognized universities, so that you can get a confidence that you might answer the questions from sedimentary environment in the exam. Once again I must remind you From Petrology, the questions are mainly asked from question number 11 to 30, so just don't ignore this part for MCQ. Next we have the MSQ for Petrology. And the important topics that we shall cover for MSQ in Petrology is sedimentary environment. Next we have phase diagram, next texture and phase diagram, all those same things repeating again, right? But don't worry, you don't have to do anything different for MSQ, just clear the concept. That will help you throughout the examination. Next we have migmatites, metamorphic reactions, igneous texture and structures. And by practicing the questions from these parts, you can definitely score well in the examination. Now let's consider the NAT portion for Petrology. So from Petrology, you get questions in JAM every year in NAT. Although the topics for NAT is very much limited, but questions are asked frequently from these topics again and again. Although there is a chance that you can get some new questions this time, but you may definitely get some questions from these parts. And the important topics for NAT are phase diagram, rock composition, particle size and wooden Venturi scale, and position on IUGS diagram. And nowadays, a new trend of questions from ternary system has come into being. If you want the solution of these particular sections, or for that sake any previous year questions of JAM, then you can check them out. The link is in the description. Hope this video is helpful for your preparation. Thank you for watching.